So this tutorial is going to be about how we can override a save method in Django Rest Framework. So this is our model client. We have ID, which is a UUID field, and user, first name, last name, email, title, company name, birth date, description, and created at. So we are going to override the save method because of this user. Um, each client record will belong to a single user, but we can't let the user decide or enter this user field, otherwise it will create some undesirable result in our application. So right now if you try to save the user, then it will show the following error. So I'm entering all the data and trying to create a client from here. It will say the user ID is missing, which is obvious because we have not entered the user ID in this form. But it doesn't make sense to allow the user to enter the user ID. So we are going to fetch the user ID from the current logged in user. So this is how we do it. At first, we're going to provide serializer context. Serializer context means we're going to pass data to the serializer. So we're passing user ID, and it is going to be save.request.user.id. After this serializer context is passed, then we can access the serializer from here. So we want to override this save method in this model serializer. We want to override this save method because currently it does not allow us to save the user ID of the logged in user. So we are going to override this. So let's override it. So at first we are going to create a client. So client is equal to client.objects.create. So we are going to pass here is a field called validated data, which is already validated by the serializer. So we are going to pass it from here, and now we are going to specify the user ID, and we can get this user ID from here. We have already passed the context in the view with this key user ID. You can see here we have passed this in the view, in our view set. So we are going to access this from here. We are going to save it, return client. So now as you can see, you can successfully create the client. Let's refresh this. Let's enter this description and see the client is successfully created. But here is another problem here. If you try to update this client, for example, if I take this ID, pass it here, and if I try to update the first name, say Angel Binayak, and it will not update this. Instead, it will create a new record. It will create a new record here, which is quite obvious because our serializer uses the same method for both updating and saving the instance. So here is how we can do it. Yes. I think we will have to reference the serializer method here. Let's see how serializer method is written. So it is checking if the instance is not none, then it is going to update the instance with validated data, or it is going, if the object is none, then it is going to create the instance with validated data. So we will mimic the same functionality here. So if instance is not none, then we are going to perform update is equal to self dot update. I have to pass the data here. Now I think it should work. So let's try to edit this again. The first record. If we enter the ID here, and if we try to edit its first name to Elon Musk, then it should work. See, it worked. The first data is updated, and the second data is not created. Second record is not created. So this is how you can override the save method of serializer in Django Rest Framework.